Good morning. I wrote a ghost play once called Genevive Stickney's Ghost in the year of 2013. Apparently, there is a ghost named Genevive Stickney who hanged herself within her home elevator back in the 1940s, and later on, then her home turned into the Bowers Harbor Inn, and it became a culture visit. And some say that they saw Genevieve Stickney's ghost. So I wrote the play and finished it. And later on, I found out that Genevieve Stickney's never hung herself, but she had died at the Pantlind Hotel in 1947 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Well, I still have my play script, and I changed the title saying Reflections of a Mistress. The three principal actresses is Genevive Stickney, Frances Wellington, and Marybeth Hazelworth. And later on I found out the very true mistress in this story in Traverse City, Michigan in 2013.
Do you think I'm pretty? You have a lovely face. Did Charles ever tell you he bought this mirror for me, making my reflection narrower in width? No, he hasn't. He wants to remember me as I was, when I was 20 with golden curls and a rouge-dimpled smile. You should have seen me then, Marybeth. I filled his eyes with joy, and his love for me was incontestably ardent in every way. You've been with us for 2 years now, am I right? Yes, going on 3. I often wonder why beautiful flowers wither under the basking sun. Why do you suppose, Marybeth? Do you know why? It's the course of nature, for all things must pass, don't they? Oh, what a dreary thought. Why is your beauty not on parade, but only idling away in our quiet company? Oh, on the contrary, I feel rewarded by our tranquil surroundings. When I think of my youthfulness, naivete comes to mind. Listening to you now, sincere as you are, makes me remember when I, too, was short-sighted and ignorant. What joy do you get from hurting me, Genevieve? Why do you do this? If it's any comfort, Marybeth, it's not because of what you do, but it's your beauty that threatens me. I see him looking at you, reminding me of his smile. He once looked at me that way, too. Our early years together were frivolous and charming, and nothing could have separated us. I often think of what my life would have been if I had chosen Lawrence Willoughby as my rightful husband. He was educated and accomplished, but lacked handsomeness. Charles, on the other hand, was beautifully charming, a master of finesse, and he swallowed my heart wholly. We should have remained in Chicago, where life was gay and bright, instead of northward, where barrenness wrapped its terrible arms around us. I can't recall its exact moment when his loving gaze fell from sight. I just felt his warmth had lifted somehow, like a perched bird soon in flight, traveling elsewhere to nest, and singing to others who were more worthy than me. No, try as I do, I cannot remember how his comforting presence left me, and how I miss his loving embrace.
The telephone rings.
That must be Charles. Would you please answer it, Marybeth?
Marybeth moves, picking up the receiver.
Hello, this is the Stickney residence. May I help you?
A solemn expression is on her face as she intently listens. Throughout Genevieve's oncoming words, Marybeth stands struggling to keep from weeping.
Tell him to bring me a bouquet of colorful flowers. Ask him if his trip to Canada was worthwhile. Marybeth, what is he saying? Why aren't you talking to him? Has he mentioned my name? Good God, girl, why are you so quiet? Bring me the phone so I can speak to him directly. Yes, I will inform her.
Marybeth hangs up the receiver, still attempting to hold back her tears.
He's left us, Genevieve. That was the station in Kamloops. Charles was boarding the train this morning, and he fell to the ground, and although assistance was there to recover him, he quietly died in their arms. Died? Yes.
Marybeth can no longer hold her tears as Genevieve remains cool.
How did he die? They said it was a massive stroke. I'm so terribly sorry, Genevieve. And who exactly are you sorry for, dear? Would it be for me or you? What a terrible thing to say! Perhaps, but my manners are no longer your concern, Marybeth, for you've lost your employer. I'm now officially freeing you of your obligations, and your service are no longer required here. I'll leave immediately as you request, but before I do, you need to know he loved you dearly, and I honored your marriage without transgressions. Goodbye, Genevieve. I only hope the best for you.
Marybeth begins to exit, but stops, looking over her shoulder at Genevieve as she picks up the photo of Marybeth taken at her interview in New York City.
And as for you, my husband's prized little possession, I'll put you here behind the wainscot, for when all of us are gone and forgotten, you shall remain there to haunt this house forever and ever, my lusty, menacing little devilish mistress that you are.
She sets a photo down with a gentle pat and gently brushes her hair, pleasantly humming, as if nothing ever happened. Marybeth exits. Act 2, Scene 5.
As I walked away, I stopped again to look at her. And as she set her hairbrush down and stood wrapping her robe around tightly, I watched her walk into the darkness of the long and narrow hallway.
It was the photo. I should have known. It was right under our noses the whole time. Where did you go from there?
Charles, he must have had a premonition before he left Toronto, because he gave me the phone number of his lawyer, Theodore Robinson, if I ever needed any help.
Did you call him?
Yes, I called him from the Park Place Hotel. He told me he had confidential information and to come to his office the following Tuesday.
At this point, Marybeth enters, sitting down, and Genevieve following shortly behind her.
I walked into his office sitting down, and then Genevieve entered. She glanced in my direction, and then she sat down. Mr. Robinson soon arrived saying, "Good morning, ladies. Thank you for arriving on time." Then, without hesitation, he told us we were Charles' sole beneficiaries. As he read the will, my mind became distracted when I heard him say, "On Section 4, I give the following legacies. Item 1, I give to my dear wife Genevive Stickney absolutely and free of tax the sum of $100,000 and the deed of our West Grand Traverse Bay residence. Item 2, I give to Marybeth Hazelworth absolutely and free of tax the sum of $3,893,000. Genevieve, she gasped, as I stood, turning away from her.
At this point, Francis is standing directly in line with Marybeth, facing one another.
I felt ashamed for receiving such wealth. And then Genevieve left, walking out of my life, never to be seen again. I waited for a moment, and then I went outside, and I cried.
Genevieve and Marybeth exit. It was $3,893,000?
Yes.
That's not a bad severance pay. What then?
I returned to New York and visited my mother. With her mortgage paid and enough financial resources for her lifetime, I made plans to go to Europe. But before I went, I returned to Michigan, locating the cemetery where Charles was laid to rest, and I brought him his favorite red roses. While there, I purchased this lovely home, but quickly realized I wouldn't be welcome here, for the gossip mill had spread like wildfire.
And that's when you changed your name?
Yes, it wasn't until 1940 that Thomas and I returned to America, and by that time most of the gossipers were dead.
So in 1924, you moved to Europe. What for?
I just wanted to get away. I stayed at the Hotel Ritz in the heart of Paris and met Aaron Copland and Harold Clurman at the cafe near their flat on 66 Boulevard, Pasteur. Harold invited me to look him up whenever visiting New York, which I did many times over. Paris was precisely what I needed. It helped me to forget. For 7 years, I lived there, adopting French as my second language. Mon français a-t-il des scènes pour vous?
What did you say?
Does my French make any sense to you?
Oui, madame.
Vous devez me prendre des tours Eiffel de jour?
Whatever you said, it's lovely.
I said, you must take me to the top of the Eiffel Tower one day.
Yeah, I would love to.
Je vous revoir?
And what's that?
I want to see you again.
They kiss. If you don't stop kissing me, I won't have time to finish my article.
What article?
You know which one, and why only 7 years in Paris?
Well, I received a telegram my mother died, and then I booked a passage to New York. Are there any more questions, Brian?
No, that's about it. Oh, wait, but my last one is guaranteed not to get a laugh. Where were you when you first heard of Genevive Stickney's death?
I was living in New York, and it was about 1935. I had a solid relationship with Harold Clurman and his group theater, being somewhat of a proletarian philanthropist, having invested in his production of Waiting for Lefty. It turned out to be a smashing hit, and while at our after-show party, its playwright, Clifford Odets, wading through the drunken crowd, tapping me on my shoulder, and he whispered, "You're wanted on the phone, darling, and it's some fellow by the name of Theodore." It was a good thing I had already had several drinks, because I knew deep inside whatever I would hear wasn't going to be good. When I heard of how she died, I ran outside crying to the veranda overlooking Manhattan. I kept thinking over and over what a poor and lonely woman she was. Life often doesn't inflict us harshly without warning. I thought of how I wished I was there to have spared her pain, but there's so much I just don't understand. As I stood there in the night, I had a comforting thought, how Genevieve's anguish on earth was now forever gone.
That's
That's the whole story, right?
It is, yes.
If I get on it, I just might complete it by morning.
Well, you can use Thomas's typewriter in the office. Let me show you where it's at.
Oh, that would be great.
Don't forget what I asked you about giving my name.
Yeah, yeah. You're Mrs. Anonymous. That's our secret.
Thank you, Brian.
They exit as the lights slowly dim to black. Act 2, Scene 6. Within moments, the lights slowly rise as Frances enters. She moves by the table carrying a cup of coffee and stands looking out the window at the lake.
Hurry up, Brian. You're missing something special. There's a deer in the backyard and a white swan with her little cluster of babies following behind her. They're so cute. Hurry up.
I'll be right there. What time is it?
It's 10 o'clock.
Brian enters wearing the same clothing he wore when first arriving. He's carrying his shoes and sits and putting them on. I'm really late. After riding all night and driving back to Chicago, I'll be lucky if I'm still breathing.
Well, how did it go?
It could be better, but the editors are used to cleaning up my mess.
Do you remember what I told you?
Yeah, I'll talk to Steve about it. When was it? September, you said?
No, that's when I'm going to New York. The ship won't be leaving until the first week in October.
I'll do my best, but you know, I can't promise getting time off.
Don't worry, Brian. I'm booking 2 reservations on the Queen Mary, regardless if you come or not.
That's a lot of change you'll be throwing away if I can't make it.
Like I said before, I want you to take me to the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Won't that be something, huh? Well, I've got to get going.
Wait a minute. Do you want me to fix you something to eat before you go?
No, I better not. I'm wasting time here. I'll grab something on the road.
Do you have everything?
I think so.
Well, don't forget to call me after you get there.
Sure.
Do you have my number?
Yeah, I got your number. I gotta go. Brian kisses her. Then he starts for the front door, with her following him.
Wait a minute. Aren't you forgetting something?
What? I think I've got my car keys.
Your article. I'll go get it.
She hurries off stage as he looks out the window. Then she enters handing the article to him. Yeah, I guess I could use that. What a dummy.
Here. I haven't read it yet, but I trust you wrote it the way it was told to you.
Every single comma and period, Frances. Don't you worry about it.
I'll see you again, right?
Yep. You haven't heard my whole story yet, right?
Yes. You better get going.
Yeah. I'll call you.
Okay. Drive safe, Brian.
He begins to exit, but stops and turns to her. Hey, I just had a funny thought.
What?
Did everything you said in here is true, right?
Yes, but if it's not, it sure makes for an intriguing story, right?
Yeah. It's what pays the bills, I guess. Gotta go. Call you later tonight. He exits with her crossing to the front door. She stands there watching him leave while the sound of an engine starting up is heard, and its grinding gears shifted in place with the roar of a moving car traveling down a long and dusty road.
Hello?
In not hearing a voice, she slowly puts the receiver on the telephone and walks to her window and looking outward as the lights slowly dim to black. The end.